My name is Ken Anstruther, and I'm a chartered professional coach in the sport version of WTF Taekwondo. Today, I will be presenting a Taekwondo version of a decision training model for our sport. Decision training doesn't replace behavior-based training, but adds to it, creating, we believe, a more efficient and effective training system. By more effective, we mean getting better results. It can be fully integrated with the current training and in most respects will look very much like what we are currently doing. As you will see later in this presentation, both training should be done and should work in complete harmony with each other. This model has been developed from the work of Dr. Joan Vickers from Perception, Cognition, and Decision Training, the Quiet Eye in Action. As of the date of the model's creation, WTF Taekwondo rules implemented in January and February of 2017 are used for decision selection and some weighting algorithms. The first step is to identify a decision an athlete has to make in a competition, highlighting one cognitive skill. These are some examples. By this we mean choosing a 3-point kick versus a 2-point kick, or a 4-point kick over a 3-point or 2-point kick, or to withdraw rather than risk a net loss in an exchange of techniques. There are many decisions that the fighter needs to make in the course of a match. These are only a few simple ones. Ideally, each coach will prioritize those that offer the best value for their athlete. We will discuss the cognitive skills over the next slides. There are 7 cognitive skills identified by Dr. Vickers: anticipation, attention, focus and concentration, pattern recognition, memory, problem solving, and decision making. Anticipation is the ability to predict what will occur when preparing to perform a skill or tactic. What information must be seen, felt, heard, or otherwise perceived or attended to before acting. If we go back to an example such as the back kick, let's explore what this entails. Hearing has been excluded, but might be involved as an exhortation from a coach, either in code or directly. Usually this is too slow. Seeing will include location in the court, stance of the opponent, prior movement sequence in terms of shift of center of gravity, torso rotation, and some others. This can be enhanced by scouting of an opponent and observing when he/she was vulnerable to a back kick. Perception would include your feelings about an opponent's intention based on score, time left in the round or match, prior knowledge of the tendencies, and so on. The counter back kick is only being used as an example to focus which of the skills is most likely to be effective for your fighter. Attention is the ability to select the correct cue from the many that are available before and as an action is performed. What information must be attended to during the performance of a specific skill or tactic. Distinguishing between attention and focus and concentration will take a bit of thought. The back kick is mostly intended as a counterattack, so we must attend to the attack speed, speed of attack, opportunities that will open up as the attack progresses. All this must happen within 0.2 to 0.3 seconds. Focus and concentration is the ability to consistently select the correct cue from many that are available and avoid distractions from spurious actions. Specific visual cues to aid this have to be pre-identified. As noted, the back kick is mostly intended as a counterattack, so we must zero in on the focus points or cue that identifies that the attack is authentic and not a fake. Each athlete working with his/her coach will find the right one for them. This is the ability to find meaning during complex interaction with an opponent and translate into expected action or viable goals. In most cases, attacks or counterattacks have a known sequence of movement. This may well be the primary cognitive skill along with memory retrieval for Taekwondo. There are clearly more than one pattern that could invite the use of the counter back kick. The training should include as many as you can. We will discuss decision training later in this presentation. Memory retrieval is the ability to find a stored solution based on practiced or previously used and memorized techniques. There are sports models for how this is done, but we need to predetermine a wide range of options that are trained cognitively if we are to use this model. We are retrieving the memory of how to deliver the kick based on the visual cue presented by the opponent. This might include front or back or side-to-side adjustments to make the distance right, or angling the kick more upward, or to engage hogu and not incur a gamjam for low kicking. Problem solving deals with the athlete's ability to find solutions that may not have been trained. This is the ability to create a viable solution when there is no clear one based on other cognitive skills. Since time is of the essence for Taekwondo, the length of time is the measurable as well as the viability of the solution. This might be appropriate when in a clinch and determining if a back kick would work, which leg, which way to push off, angle of attack and to use, and so on. Clearly, the time is really critical in making these decisions, where the opportunity or danger is evident. This is the ability to make decisions on a timely basis. In this case, many options might be available and the athlete's decision-making skills are involved. In order to build this into our testing model, we need to be able to assess how often the athlete makes the best choice. This becomes a gap analysis tool and gives the coach and athlete specific areas to address. If you have any questions on this, they can be asked at this point. Material on the 7 cognitive skills can be found in Dr. Vickers' books. The reference is given at the end of this presentation. The second step, for the purpose of making more specific, consider that we continue with our counter back kick decision and that we have chosen pattern recognition as the cognitive skill. So let's base this on a front leg attack by an opponent from closed stance to the hogu. We need to design a drill that will use one of the 7 cognitive triggers. Let's go over them now. These are used to generate an action. We have object cues, location cues, quiet eye, reaction time cues, memory cues, kinesthetic cues, and self-coaching cues. We actually include cognitive triggers as an element to check off when evaluating coaches, even at the assistant instructor level. However, many coaches have no idea what these are. Object cues. The athlete has to focus on an object, which in Taekwondo sparring isn't really that relevant, but is included here for completeness. You may be able to provide examples. In some training, we use thrown medicine balls and special targets. So you anticipate or focus on a specific object before acting. Location cues. We are not as object-oriented as in soccer, volleyball, but we might stick tape in the center of a hogu for training to suggest the dots on a dado hogu, or a K, P, and P logo at the top of their hogu, and require the athlete to see the marker prior to kicking their training partner. Quiet eye cues. I think Dr. Vickers is really keen on this particular element. And this is a more complex discussion. It involves gaze control. There are three main categories of gaze tasks: targeting, interceptive, and tactical. Simply put, it is targeting an object's location, tracking an object as it approaches, and tactical is tracking a pattern of movement. We hope to engage BoxOut to assist with training the use of this cognitive trigger. We would need to spend several weeks covering all the material associated with this, but we'll keep the discussion limited for now. Reaction time cues for back kick delivery are a complex topic, and Dr. Vickers goes into a great deal of detail on the components of reaction time. There is also excellent discussion of this in Super Training by Mel Siff, 6th edition, page 132 following. My interpretation of this is that the athlete has plan A in their mind, and some pattern they observe, or perhaps a coach's input, requires them to switch to plan B. The state of the athlete has a lot to do with the timing for the motor phases. Here's a graphical breakdown of reaction time. In our training, we work to identify the pattern from memory sooner. This is the cue that triggers this graphical sequence. Step 1 in the graph, warning signal to get ready. Reduce the EMG time at step 2, reduce the motor recruitment time in step 3, then initiate and execute the movement faster, ending at step 4. So in our example, we detect the pattern and decide to perform the counter back kick. Step 1 is the exact point of recognition. Step 2 is the message sent to the muscles and arrives at the end of the premotor time when the muscles are recruited to perform the kick. At step 3, they have contracted enough to show visual movement, and by 4, the target kick has been reached. We describe this in NCCP as the critical instant, or contact with the hogu. The memory cue is exactly that, but can be sharpened by giving it a name that the coach can deliver to the athlete. Dr. Vickers suggests keeping another skill in active memory and then having the coach call it up during drills. This is similar to the reaction time scenario, however. This is one that's been practiced extensively. The kinesthetic cue requires considerable training so the athlete can establish a strong sense that this is the correct sequence. They must reach a point where it feels right. For this cue, the coach might ask the athlete to identify a problem, identify a training strategy to correct this. In this example, it would be related to delivery of the counter back kick, e.g. over-rotating and presenting an easy counter-attack target, miscalculating the distance and not making adjustments in time, and so on. At this point, if there's any questions on that step. The third and final step requires that we use some of the 7 decision training tools. So these are the 7 decision training tools identified by Dr. Vickers. She breaks them into 3 categories as shown on the slide. Practice design, variable or random, feedback and questioning, bandwidth feedback, questioning or video feedback, instruction, hard first instruction and modeling, external focus of instruction. With variable practice, the key is that it simulates competition, that it is done from a variety of ring positions, turning in both directions, and from open stance and closed stance, with and without distance adjustments. These are called smart variations. With random practice, the athlete does a variety of skills, all related to competition scenarios. In our example, we might do all the turning kicks from different situations. These types of practice are best suited to athletes who have mastered the basic techniques, although they don't have to be perfect at it. We will want them to develop the decision skills as they improve the technical skills. Bandwidth feedback incorporates a number of extrinsic feedback types that change based on how the skills developed. This approach takes into consideration how the athlete responds to the feedback, and you adjust it as required. Feedback has a number of terms associated with it, and I'll just list them here. So, bandwidth feedback uses many of these in combinations and applied at different points in the training cycle. Corrective refers to technical, tactical, or other sport-specific information. Summative is feedback given after a series of trials. Positive and negative are self-explanatory. Frequency of feedback refers to how often and within what interval it is given. Instantaneous feedback refers to that given before the athlete can think about their performance. Delayed feedback is the opposite of instantaneous, so that the athlete has time to reflect on their performance. Faded feedback refers to a lot of feedback early, then less and less as the skill increases. Vickers reports that bandwidth feedback has shown more success than the same type used over and over again. Questioning is critical for the coach to be very skilled at listening. It is crucial that the coach listen and seriously consider what the athlete is telling him or her. The questions need to be sport-specific and probe the athlete's understanding of the drill, skill, or tactic being trained. With video feedback, it is important that the analysis is done with guidance. Although we use Dartfish for this, other tools exist that allow the coach to tag video and focus on only the tagged sequences, e.g. all counter back kicks. Using marking tools, single frame or slow-mo features, the coach can identify patterns or tendencies and so on. Where possible, the coach needs to get video from different planes of motion so that the key performance indicators are clearly evident. Also, the coach can use comparison video of a technique. This is a form of gap analysis. I'm going to quote Dr. Vickers here. Hard first instruction for the complete beginner should be primarily cognitive and conceptual. The teaching of physical skills should remain safe and appropriate at all times, while at the same time beginners are exposed to complex models and simulations of high-end performances. This is achieved through the use of video models, take-home projects where skills and tactics are analyzed. So careful use of advanced students' performing skills is also helpful. Care needs to be taken that it not become too intimidating and violate the principle of safety. External focus of instruction focuses on goals of the task and specific objects or locations in the environment. The coach and athlete are focused on the goal. In the example of the counter back kick, the focus is on scoring by hitting the hogu with the correct contact force and location, then completing the sequence by finishing in a safe or protected mode, or alternately adding a follow-up attack. So in summary, define the decision to be made. Use one of the 7 cognitive skills. Design drills to train a decision. Choose one of 7 cognitive triggers to use. Train the decision. Use some of the 7 decision training tools. Okay. So in this picture, we're showing a clock setting of 000 reference marker to show distance of 1 meter, and the angle of the hips as the heel of the kicking leg for the athlete on the left prepares to deliver the back kick. It's at a 90-degree angle so that the leg is going to drive the rotation of the hips. As an example drill, we used a counter back kick from front leg attack, counter back kick from rear leg attack, counter back kick from a front leg attack from distance, counter back kick from clinch pushback by opponent from both legs. We have some video that we'll take a look at. So I'll stop and go to that video right now. Initially, we'll show the full drill. Okay.
Okay, all right. Now switch legs. Do it from the other side. Same thing. Okay, now you're going to do open stance. Okay, rear leg kick and counter back kick. All right. And now switch legs. Same thing again. Okay, now this one here, further distance away, you got to slide in. Slide in with the, that's fine. You're going to have to slide and do the kick and the counter attack. Okay, so you have to slide forwards to do the kick. Yeah, front leg. Okay, now switch legs, other side. Good. Now this one, next one you're in a clinch, and Peter, you're going to push away and try to do a roundhouse kick, and he's going to do a counter back kick. So push away, try to do a kick. Okay, like that. Okay. Now switch legs on the other side, and same thing. All right, good. Thank you very much. That's what I needed.
All right, so let's take the next as an example of a video feedback. So we'll take our next video and cue this up, and we'll do this on a frame by frame basis. So we go forward, leg rises, block, and contact, and finish up. Okay, here we have number one, initial leg movement, distance apart, at point 4 we start the first initial movement. Begin to react, block, execution of the kick. Now that's an example of some video feedback. So we'll go back to our videos. We'll do questioning next. I'll just play the whole video. Okay, now let's look at our key points here. Attack detected, counterattack begins, critical instant, follow through to a position of safety. So we have distance markers in here. So what took place here, in questioning, we asked the athlete, what did they see first? And I have my description here. In this sequence, it goes, ask what the trigger was to detect the attack. And you can read through that. And that's why in single frame, we're able to detect what it is and then determine from the athlete's point of view what they will then look for in future. Okay, and our final video. In this video section, we're going to look at reaction time. And for the attacking fighter, You get the initial movement. You observe the attack, then the reaction, blocking, and then kicking. So for each of them, the beginning of the movement for the attacker on the right is at step 3, which is step 1 for the counterattacker. See it again. And the final step 4, which is the contact with the Hogu, which we call the critical instant. And we're going through each step. This is from Dartfish key frame positions. The leg begins to move. It sees the total time for the event.